Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about a serious addiction that I have, podcasts. I do not know what I did before podcasts. I listen to so much podcasting, I don't know what music sounds like anymore. I think listening to podcasts is a great way to take advantage of the time that you spend, driving in your car, doing your laundry, or walking your dog. You can turn that time into valuable learning time. Because we're all busy, right? Like we all are supposed to be putting 1,000% into this career and, give all of our time to it, but that's just not realistic. We all have so much other life stuff to do, and that's good. You should have a life outside of the business. But, there's also tedious everyday stuff that we have to do, and it's just a nice, even in the grocery store, my husband gets so mad at me because he's like, you should have your ears up open and be aware of everything at all times. But in the grocery store when I'm shopping along, I have my headphones in and I'm listening to a podcast. Now notice that this video is called Podcasts I Love, not Podcasts for Actors. If you watch to the end of the video, I'm definitely going to have a little bit of information about podcasts that are just specifically geared towards actors, but this really is just about ones that I listen to super frequently and that I adore. And even almost all of them are at least somewhat informative for actors. It's not for actors, but definitely has information that you can benefit from and learn from. Time out! Go subscribe. Okay, here we go. The first podcast I want to tell you about is one that I started listening to back in the day. It's not like when podcasts were new, but it's just when I first started listening. Anytime I would go for a run or whatever, I would be listening to this, and it was like people that were speaking my language, and it was just really inspiring. It's called Making It with Riki Lindhome. Riki Lindhome is a comedian and an actress, and she interviews actors and comedians of all different places in their career. And the topics are really their life, starting from when they were a kid, growing up, and then their path on this career. And as we all know but need to be reminded, every single person's path is so different. And I think a lot of us get really beat down thinking, oh, I'm not here yet, this is where I thought I would be, and and this comparing yourself to people, you can't do that. And this podcast is just a really great reminder of how different everyone's path is. And Riki is really sweet, and she really gets a lot out of people. It's just a very nice, enjoyable podcast, so check that one out. All right, so I would say my favorite podcast that I'm listening to right now, if I start one more sentence with, well, on the podcast, Dax says, I swear my husband is going to leave me. I reference this podcast so many times per day. It's got to be really irritating. It's called Armchair Expert. It's hosted by Dax Shepard. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And anyone I talk to who is also listening to it is equally as addicted as I am. So I know I'm not just a crazy person. It's very, very good. And just listen to a few episodes. You'll be hooked. The one where he interviews his mom is so great. The very first episode, he interviews his wife, Kristen Bell. I just really like how he lays it all out there. He's very open about his addiction, therapy, emotions, just very, very vulnerable. And his co-host, Monica, is an actress. They're just so funny together, and I don't even want to admit this to myself. I don't know why I'm saying it to you guys, but I have had more than one dream where we're friends. Anyway, back to the podcast. He interviews celebrities, actors, and then he also has a thing where he interviews non-celebrities, and he calls it Experts on Expert. People that are experts in science, psychology, writers, musicians, all kinds of stuff like that. You learn so much from every episode, truly. And again, like in the last podcast I talked about, you really see into these people. I mean, this podcast gets so vulnerable, more more than I've ever heard on any other podcast. And people that you may have been kind of I will say the Gwyneth Paltrow episode. Her episode 1000% changed my view on her. None of us should be judging any book by its cover. It's really hard to not judge celebrities for what we see and, build up our own version of them in our own head. But this podcast just really gets into people, and it's a reminder that everyone is a freaking human, and that's it. And it's just nice. I like it. I love it. You would think that I had 4 coffees today, but I did not. I'm talking so much. Another podcast that I love is called Motherhood in Hollywood. I've talked about it before. It's hosted by Heather Brooker. This is another one that I have been listening to from the start of my podcast listening life. Heather is an actress, and she's a mom. Like me, she has a lot of guests who are also moms, and this podcast really does appeal to actors and people in the industry. Heather is super funny, so sweet, and has really great guests on and touches on some really great topics, so definitely check that one out. So here's a podcast that I just started listening to because it's pretty new. It just debuted this year. It's the SAGAFTRA podcast. It is hosted by Gabrielle Carteris, who is the president of SAGAFTRA, and by David White, who is the national executive director of SAG-AFTRA. The most recent episode is really great. It's an interview with the actor Alan Alda. Like I said, it's fairly new, so there's not a ton of episodes yet, but they're all like really informative. Really great. I like that one a lot. Next podcast I love is Happier with Gretchen Rubin. Gretchen is a #1 best-selling author of a book called The Happiness Project. Each episode focuses on things like productivity, happiness, goals. She and her sister Liz are the two hosts of it. They talk about great books to read, all kinds of great self-empowerment topics, and I just love it. It's like it puts you in a good mood really when you listen to it, and it makes you feel a little bit more motivated. The next podcast I want to recommend is kind of tied to this because Liz, who is her sister that she co-hosts that podcast with, has a separate podcast called Happier in Hollywood. So it's Liz Craft, who is a screenwriter, and her writing partner, Sarah Fair. They are screenwriters with a lot of credits. They just wrote the first season of the show The Fix. It's just so it's kind of like the same idea as Happier, but Happier in Hollywood. So obviously it's definitely geared towards actors and people in the entertainment industry. I love it. Okay, this next one, The Moth. It's storytelling. So basically, if there's a live moth show, and all these recordings are taken from live moth shows, there's people that are selected to tell stories, and then they are given a topic at the beginning of the night, and then they have to tell a story relating to that topic. And the stories that come out of there are incredible. Incredible. Another podcast that I love is TED Talks, and I'm sure you're familiar with TED Talks. If you're not, get on it. These two podcasts, The Moth and TED Talks, I feel like acting is so much about communication and self-awareness and just human experience. And there's so much character study and learning that happens when you listen to these two podcasts. There's just no way that you would listen to it and it doesn't affect you or benefit you in some way. So please listen to those. Another new one that I love so much is Conan OBrien Needs a Friend. I didn't realize how much I loved Conan OBrien. I just recently watched his Netflix show, Conan Without Borders. It's so funny. He's so good. He's so smart and witty, and I just adore him. And now he has this podcast called Conan OBrien Needs a Friend, and he brings on celebrities, and it's incredible. It's similar to the Dax Shepard podcast in that he's interviewing other celebrities, and they just kind of chit chat and go through their life story. And I loved the Lisa Kudrow episode. The Howard Stern episode is really good. The Bill Hader episode, I laughed so hard. It was so funny. And another one that is like a celebrity interviewing celebrities is Anna Faris is Unqualified. It's really, really good. She brings on people and then they give relationship advice to their listeners. So, and she does improv games with her guests, and she's so entertaining. It's lovely. Listen to it. Now I have to throw these in. They are not related to acting at all, but these are my way to kind of like chill out, unwind, unplug from work. These are my true crime podcasts. Now, first I have to say this. I deal with some pretty serious anxiety over like bad things happening, like accidents and death. And you would think that listening to true crime would be like a real nightmare and that it would enhance all my fears and my worries. But the truth is, it's almost like, and the hosts even said this in one episode, they're like, we talk about these things so that we think they won't happen to us. It's true. Like by listening to it, it almost like helps me stop obsessing about it so much. I don't know how that works, but it does for me. So the two that I really, really love, one of them is not really about true crime, but it's called Criminal, but it's about crimes and not necessarily the crimes that you would think. Like one is about someone that had a marijuana farm before it was legal, and one is about someone who used to kidnap babies and put them up for adoption. Really, really good. It's hosted by Phoebe Judge. It's so good. Criminal is great. And my true love, like, I love this podcast so much, and there's something that happens when I tell people that I listen to this podcast, and they listen to it too, and we're like, and that we have this weird thing in common that we love My Favorite Murder. It's hosted by Georgia Hardstark and Karen Kilgariff. These are two, like it's a comedy murder podcast. Don't judge that statement. They are not laughing at murder. They are not glorifying the murderers. They are really actually bringing light and life to the victims and survivors in some of the stories. They're so funny. They're so smart. Their storytelling is so good. I think you have to, one, enjoy true crime, and then you have to give it a listen to really know what I'm talking about. A lot of you actually probably already know about this podcast because they are one of the top podcasts, and they just released a book that is already a #1 bestseller. So, but in case you don't, if you like true crime, even if you don't, just give it a listen. I really love it. And then you can tell me what you think of it in the comment section. But don't say anything mean. You know, just like in general, if you have something mean to say in a comment, like, why? Anyway, I digress. Okay, so as promised, here are the ones that are specifically for actors. What I did was I went on this little site called Google. You may or may not know it. And I just put in podcasts for actors. And the 2 most comprehensive lists I saw of podcasts for actors were on backstage.com. So I'm going to link those 2 lists down below. There's a lot on those lists, so I'm just going to read you a few of the names of them, and then the rest you can actually go click and see exactly what they're all about and see which one really appeals to you the most. Okay, so here's a few of them. Inside Acting, Off Camera with Sam Jones, which is also a TV show and a website. He interviews actors. It's so good. Theater People, for obviously theater actors. Sound Advice, which is for voiceover. The Moment, 1000 No's, The Actor's Diet. I know the host of that one. Her name is Lynn Chen, and she's so lovely. Check that out for sure. The Young Actor's Guide. Disclaimer, I have not listened to any of these, but I definitely wanted to get them out there for you guys. And then there's one that's not on these lists, but I've heard a lot about it. Again, haven't listened to it, but I'm definitely going to check it out. It's called Audrey Helps Actors. So check out some of those podcasts and then let me know, and let us all know in the comments section if you liked any of them or if they really spoke to you, you feel like you can learn a lot from them. I want to know. We all want to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, and I love ya. Bye.